Okay, hi.
Hi, boo.
Welcome to Soulful Flow Yoga Book Club. This is our second book in the month of November, and I'm excited to have my dear friend and amazing, talented, beautiful author, Jodi-Ann Burey here. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to read a little bit of her bio, and then we'll get started. Is that cool? Okay. Jodi-Ann Burey is a writer and critic whose work explores the intersections of race, culture, and health equity. She is the author of Authentic, The Myth of Bringing Your Full Self to Work, and the creator of the Black Cancer Podcast, a space centering stories of people of color navigating cancer. She has delivered more than 100 keynotes, talks, and interviews, including a prominent TEDx talk that inspired and shaped the ideas behind this book. Jodi-Ann also co-creates and hosts Lit Lounge, a curated book and author conversation series, and she leads Lit Lounge, The People's Art, a monthly prose and poetry salon. She holds degrees from Boston College and the University of Michigan. Born in Jamaica, she lives in Seattle, but she still calls New York home, New York City home.
Yes, always. Queens raise up.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, everyone, for coming and reading the book or having the desire to read it. Even if you didn't get through it, it's all good. We're going to have a good conversation.
Yes, let's do it. Reading this and listening to your amazing audiobook, it was fun to hear your personality in the reading, because I know we have a personal friendship, but it was also just nice to hear and read at the same time. Some of these things, I haven't worked in corporate America in the last 6 years. I've been in full-time yoga world. But I remember a lot of these things happening when I used to work in tech and in marketing. And also interesting, this still happens in yoga.
Yeah.
When we're supposed to be living in these guiding principles of the 8 limbs of yoga and like this, we are all one, show up in your authentic self, in your, let us all just be together, like kumbaya, like my mom would say. But these things are still very prevalent in this industry as well. And I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot about those things. Yeah.
It's funny because I didn't know that. I've also been working for myself for 6 years now, and even going back, like I use my whole entire work history to shape a lot of these ideas. But just because I work for myself or just because my name is at the cover of the book doesn't mean that I'm immune from any of these things. Like these same dynamics that I talk about in the book are still prevalent in client interactions. I will say this. I feel it most when I'm interacting with other people of color who do work for corporations, and so I get hired a lot for speaking engagements, and then I'm interfacing with someone.
Right.
And so my way of being and their way of being can clash because I'm like, oh yeah, you still in the sunken place.
Like you still have to code switch or like play in these rules that you no longer, we do, but it looks different now.
It looks different, and I feel like there's this anxiety of, oh, she's a little too free. Like, yeah. So I could feel that. I'm like, oh yeah, you're still in this. And so what I always position myself when I'm chatting with, especially with another person of color, if they're going to bring me into their company, is to say, what are the things that you care about? What are the things that you're trying to push forward?
Right.
How can I be a catalyst for you? Because it is disingenuous to the goals of the work that I do, including this book, to compromise Black and brown people at their jobs.
Absolutely.
And so that informed like the ways that I interview people for the book and how I handled their stories, and also how I engage with folks. Is there's a way of being that I'm trying to find my way into, continuing to find my way into, even though I work for myself. That one, I have to consider when other people are not, and two, I call this era of my career the experiment, because who knows? Like, I might have to go back and work with somebody. So, even though I just wrote a book that makes me a little bit unhireable, but it's like...
or the opposite.
Yeah, the opposite. So it's like finding myself and finding who I am separate from how institutions want us defined.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little.
Okay, I'm gonna jump into my questions. I had a side thing that I wanted to say.
Okay.
I think it's in the earliest chapters when you talk about, is it Ojai?
Ojai.
Okay,
Yeah.
and talking about like being a free woman and like, so when you just said that, it brought me to that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Do you want me to read at all?
Sure, let's do it.
Do
You want to read first, and then we questions?
What are y'all feeling? A little reading? Okay. So wait, no. Also, you don't have to lie. It's okay. I just want to know for baseline. Did everyone here read the book? Like, you finished the book? Perfect. Because so this is my first time, for context, that I'm speaking in front of people who've read the book. Because normally when you're on tour, it's a mixed bag. Normally people, like in Seattle, it had just come out.
Yeah,
So
that
most
same
people,
day.
Yeah, most people haven't actually read it. And so I'm excited because, we can cover a lot of things without me having to, hide some stuff or, just speak too broadly.
Yes.
Right? So
Okay,
be
well, that's
inclusive
fun.
with the book.
I didn't know this was your
Yeah,
first.
this is my first, people read the book. And it's cool that you only got halfway through. Like, sometimes I only got halfway through, too. So, as you know, the way it's structured or the meaning behind the structure for me is that when we talk about being authentic, it's so ill-defined, it's so nebulous, it's like very much like, oh, authentic, and there's this assumption that we're talking about the same thing, which is why you can get in a conversation of, or at least what happened to me a lot professionally is, I told you that your idea was stupid. So that was me being authentic. You know what I'm saying? Like, this thing that you said, that's dumb, right? Like, so that was my authenticity.
Right.
And then you
But
had a
that's too
problem with
much.
that.
Yeah.
So, but then they thought, like, oh, me being authentic as a Black woman is just meant that I was here, or that I had Bantu knots, or that I would say, girl, every once in a while. Like, that's what some people think authenticity is. So if I show up fully embodied in my skills and my confidence and my ideas and my expertise, like, if I do that, then you're looking like, I would have some bosses looking at me like, oh, you're so contrarian, you're so opinionated, you're so assertive. And I'm like, yeah, but that's who I am.
Right.
Yeah. And there was a situation in the beginning where I had a boss who was like, it seems like you're playing the race card, because I would always just talk about like race and how race was showing up in the work that we were doing, which I had a DEI role. And so I'm looking at her, I'm like,
This is what I'm supposed to do.
that's why you hired, like, I had a job when we started talking. Like, I had a job. You poached me.
Right.
Literally, I thought that this was what I was supposed to be doing. And so there's this like mismatch of like what I think being authentic is, or how I'm seeing it, and the way it gets used in different ways. And so the structure of the book is to kind of break down these different kind of lenses to view authenticity.
Right.
Because it gets applied in all these random ways. And so I'm going to read from, I got asked to read from this a few days ago, which I'd never read from it before. It's on page 90. It's the beginning of the spectacle of representation. And no one had asked me to read from it before, and actually really enjoyed it. So I wanted to read these few pages with you all. And yeah, I guess I don't have to set it up. I'll just read it. Lovely. It's one of my favorite chapters. And I thought it would be appropriate in a yoga space to talk about Serena Williams as an athlete. The spectacle of representation. I learned to play tennis this summer. Venus and Serena Williams competed against each other in the 2001 US Open Finals. I was 15 years old. Although I knew little about the Williams sisters, like many Black girls, I marveled over their white, beaded braids draped atop their heads like jeweled crowns. My eyes filled with awe as the sisters soared beneath their weight. Did their mother, as mine did, fasten the tips with tiny rubber bands and tin foil? I had no interest in tennis, but this year was different. New York City buzzed in anticipation of the sister-sister match, the first primetime women's singles final in tennis history. My sisters and I romped about the house, breaking things all summer. We could not lose, no matter who won. As an answer to my mother's prayers, my older sister enrolled us in a community tennis program at the local high school. The 8-mile distance between my neighborhood court and Arthur Ashe Stadium collapsed. My imagination swelled in the summer heat. I grunted like Serena, screamed like Serena. I jumped and twirled at each victorious stroke. I willed my body to fly, net to baseline. My coach taught me how to play. Serena Williams taught me how to be. Bold and unbothered, unbounded and unstoppable, precise and unapologetic. I lobbed my voice and my dreams to the clouds. I watched Serena Williams and witnessed a whole person. Joyous and frustrated, playful and focused, incomparable, uncompromising ambition. She secured her legacy as the greatest of all time. This is representation. She won. We won. Despite her greatness, often because of it, media scorns Serena for her body, her clothing, her hair, her voice, her power. That scorn mirrored institutional desire and distaste for my body, my clothing, my hair, my voice, and my power. If it can happen to Serena Williams, it can happen to me. If doctors could ignore Serena Williams, nearly costing her her life during childbirth, why wouldn't it take 3 years to find a tumor growing inside my spinal cord? If audiences could boo Serena Williams for winning, why wouldn't my colleagues nitpick my work? The precarity of Black excellence. This too is representation. In my early 20s, I spent my slim savings on private lessons at the Roosevelt Island Racquet Club near Manhattan's Upper East Side. My hospital window faced its long domed roof, a small cruelty. I spent hours serving angry, longing looks across the East River. Memories of my coach's drill commands faded beneath my physical therapist's gentle, remedial instructions. Grip both banisters, shift your weight to the left, lift your right heel, pull your body forward, push up on your toes. It took me 3 days to learn to climb one flight of stairs. I used to play tennis down there, I told my nurse as she helped me back to bed. 2 months later, I returned to work. 2 months after that, Serena returned to play in the 2018 US Open Finals, her first since the birth of her daughter. If Serena could come back, so could I. I grabbed my cane and headed down to the gym to watch on the treadmill-powered TV. My feet began to numb 20 minutes into the match. Serena's coach made a hand gesture from his seat. The chair umpire issued a coaching violation, a warning. She walked up to the stand. I don't cheat to win, I'd rather lose. Opinionated. I gripped the handles to offset my weight. Serena threw her racket to the ground and it folded like a napkin. Aggressive. The chair umpire issued a racket abuse violation, point penalty. An ESPN commentator noted that such a penalty was rare in a Grand Slam final. Serena confronted the chair umpire again. I have never cheated in my life. I have a daughter, and I stand by what's right for her, and I have never cheated. You owe me an apology. Her voice cracked. My knees buckled. Serena sat in her sideline chair between sets. She confronted the umpire again, called him a thief. Difficult. The umpire issued Serena a verbal abuse violation, game penalty. My heart pounded. I felt exhausted everywhere. Serena appealed to the referee. This is not right. This is not fair. This has happened too many times. There's a lot of men out here that have said a lot of things, but because they're men, that doesn't happen to them. Because I'm a woman, you're gonna take this away from me? That's not right. She lowered her eyes and pursed her lips. I lowered the treadmill speed to a crawl and straddled the belt. She lost. We lost. Tears rolled down her face and mine, a spectacle of pain. As a child, I played in Serena's power, hoping one day to wield its full force. Not until adulthood did I understand why Black women needed so much. I watched online video clips of this match many times over the years. The last time I typed Serena US Open 2018 in the search bar, YouTube listed these auto-generated search options. Serena US Open 2018 meltdown. Serena Williams US Open 2018 outburst. Serena Williams US Open 2018 drama. I felt exhausted all over again, suffocating in the little room Black women have to be sad. I chose meltdown because that's what happens when delicate treasures burn.
Whew. Yeah, that's a good one too. That's a good excerpt to read
Thank you.
from previous ones. I mean, they're all really good, but I like that one.
Thank you.
Girl, I mean, I'll open it up. Does anybody have? Oh, are you tearing? Oh,
She's crying.
She's crying. Does anybody have? We can make this conversation, y'all. This
Open,
yeah, we can make this open. It doesn't have to. It's not like a formal vibes. Like, do you have any thoughts or things you want to share? Or
I'm personally so emotional because it's like you said, like this happens in the workplace, it happens in yoga, it happens to like people that we look to. Like,
Yeah.
It's like she has all of these great things, like her still these are the things that come up when you search.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I even remember specifically when this happened, there were those pictures of like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that it was I remember, and putting this section together was both very emotional because I had to rewatch that clip so many times. And then I remember like being at the gym and watching it, and I think mirroring the exhaustion of like what was happening, but like the exhaustion of my body and trying to like stay upright. It was just became like very emotional. And then on a craft level of having to, I was really excited by that paragraph, and like it was bulleted and I had them like in lines and trying to always keep the reader of like, this is what's happening in the match, this is what's happening to me. Because I think oftentimes in Serena Williams, and why it was very important to me even when I was writing it, that most often when I talk about her, I say Serena Williams. Because I'm not even so much talking about Serena as a person because I don't know her, but like what Serena Williams means to Black women. Like it's Serena Williams. It's, you know, it's like, man, it's happening to her. Like, why is it happening to her? Well, it's happening to her because it happens to all of us.
Right.
And so later in the book and wherever in the book, it's like, we cannot protect ourselves with achievement. You can't protect yourself with greatness. Look at Serena Williams. Like, her being Serena Williams was not enough to protect her professionally, and it wasn't enough for her to protect her health and her life.
right.
And so this idea of like Serena Williams means so much to us. And I think for me, and maybe for a lot of Black people, we project ourselves and our stories onto her all the time. And later in this chapter, what was important for me, because I get so wrapped up in the Serena of it all, well, that because she's so important, that when she's used by capitalism to sell things, like with the Nike commercial that I talk about, I'm just so excited because it's Serena Williams that I feel so delighted in feeling seen and being represented that you want to shut off that part of your brain that would critique it, that would critique Nike, that would critique those messages. And that's kind of the danger of one, representation and the spectacle of it, but the ways that we as regular people can get used by representation. And so even in this book, I made the choice not to identify the race of, like, when people are talking about their managers and all this type of stuff. I also don't do demographic identifications for my interviewees either, because sometimes the people I'm talking to, they're talking about other Black people. They're talking about Black and brown people, because it's not just the representation. Like, this bitch is an op. Like, she's an op. And like, and it's like, it be your own, right? And like, professionally, I made a decision a really long time ago that I would never fault a Black woman who was my op at work, because everything tells her that she will be rewarded for that, for maintaining the status quo. Like, if she thinks that denigrating me is essential for her survival, sis, I get it. I'm not even mad at you. I'm mad at them. I'm mad at the system. Like, I'm mad at white supremacy. I'm mad at racism, but I'm not mad at you. I might talk shit about you, but I'm not mad.
Wait a minute now.
No, I'm not mad at you.
For sure.
Because we're incentivized to do that. And so often, we talk about, we want to see more Black and brown people in leadership. Well, you were rewarded with leadership positions when you conform to the status quo. And so then they use these Black people against you. Right? And so, if you haven't seen Ruha Benjamin's address for Spelman, she had that running refrain in her speech where she says, Black faces in high places cannot save you.
Whew.
You can't.
Whew.
And so, like, for me, it was realizing, like, damn, girl, you got God. Nike got you. Because, like, you're not looking at the ways that they're lying about how they support women and their maternity protections because of the Serena of it all.
And I even like that you wrote, because you and I have joked about this on the day when we were like hopping around bookstores, when you were like, some of your favorites, like, we wrote a book today. Like, you didn't write a book, we wrote a book. And we do, like, I do see that culturally, like with my family and other Black and brown people, like, if we do something of like, we opened a studio. We all did it, because sometimes it's very rare that we see ourselves in those spaces to do those things.
Yeah.
And sometimes equally, a lot of times, that puts a lot of pressure on that person of like how to perform in that space or what it needs to do for the whole culture.
Yeah.
So I like when you wrote, she won, we won, she lost, we lost.
Yeah.
Because often that's how it feels.
Yeah, that's how it feels, and I think there's a way that we can use that narrative to push back. Like, it's a very Western and specifically American ideal that, like, success happens individually, that this one person did it. And so I love, like, using, like, collective identities and, like, collective narration to say, like, no, we opened this studio.
Yeah.
And so even when the gentleman who was here earlier and I was saying, he's like, oh, do you run this space? And I was like, this is my friend's studio. I didn't know y'all had a relationship, so I was like, oh yeah, this is my friend's studio, but it is my responsibility as her friend to take care of the space as well, right? And so it's like, no, this is my studio too.
It is your studio,
I don't
girl.
know any
You
of the
put some
logistics.
stuff together in here.
I don't pay for that in here, but like, it's my studio too.
It is. Come through whenever you want, girl. You need some keys? I get you some keys.
Listen, say less.
You want to work the front desk? We need
Say
some
less.
support.
Perfect.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts around that? Or
Yeah.
So I feel like one of the sentences that really stuck with me in that first paragraph at the end, it says, we cannot lose no matter who won.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of what you're talking about with the collective language, but also just going further into the chapter and then seeing that loss from Serena Williams and that defeated feeling. It just kind of reminds me of like a thought of like, when you're young and you're innocent and you see those representation and you're like, wow, like I can do this, but then you grow up and maybe you realize that it just costs.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah.
It costs a lot. It costs a lot.
Canada.
Yeah, and that's why it was important for me to always say Serena Williams, because I only know her through her persona. I only know her through her image, but I can't imagine how lonely and isolating it could be to kind of hold that. And like when I watch that video so many times and you hear her voice cracking and you see it, it's just like she's saying me I'm like, no, it's all of us,
Yeah.
you know? And I could cry just thinking about it. It just, yeah, no, it was devastating.
When we think about that and like the emotional labor of performance or survival strategies of Black women, like I'm not mad at sis if she my op or
Yeah.
you know, because she's trying to survive.
Yeah.
What parts of your story felt the hardest to write or revisit, and what supported you in staying honest while also carrying yourself?
Yeah, I think the hardest parts on a technical level is kind of around this, like, I'm developing my own philosophy and approach around collective narration. And what does it mean to write your own story alongside the stories of other people?
Right.
And the reason why I included so many other voices is because I'm not trying to say, like, this is my story, and because this thing happened to me, then this is what the argument is. It's like, wait, this is kind of happening to all of us. And so how can I share my story while also bring in other people's voices and kind of getting rid of that, like, writerly ego that like the best words or the best sentences has to be mine, and to admit that sometimes my friends, if I think I'm brilliant, that means I want to be around brilliant people.
Right.
And so if I'm around brilliant people, then I need to let their brilliance shine, right? And so there are 2 chapters in this book, for example, that don't even end on my own words. They end on someone else's, because once I included that quote, the mic had dropped. There was nothing, there was nothing else to say, you know? So I think that was on a technical level, how do I blend our voices in a way that it still feels like distinct people on the page?
Yeah.
And that I'm not over-representing their experience, but holding each story and then finding those connective threads.
Yeah.
I think the other part that was difficult for me on an argument level is kind of what I was joking about earlier, is like writing a book that would make me unhireable. So like writing a book that would be inconvenient to organizations, inconvenient to institutions, and like convenient for us. And so a big part of my income is on speaking engagements, right? Like these companies hire me to come and say things to their employees. And what I'm trying to start here is like a workers' rights revolution. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so that's not really like a safe message to like bring,
especially in this climate of the world of like the removal of DEI and like
So I'm saying, like, your institution is shit. They're not treating you well, and the only way for you to get anything is that you need to find some other people and meet in a dark room somewhere where ain't no cameras.
See,
like,
you can't take these you say that. Like, can't take you DEIs nowhere.
I think it was hard for me to admit my own self-interest in the lie. And I think that's hard for anyone who works, because in order to survive financially, mentally, and emotionally, is that you just have to submit yourself to the lie. That if I keep doing this, it's going to get better, or if they know more things, then they'll do better. Like, you kind of have to like go along with it. And so that was the most challenging thing for me, to admit my own complacency, to admit my own privileges as well, my own like class standing, because, you know, there are a lot of classes of workers that I don't interview, and I admit that up front, like, hey, I'm not representing every type of worker, but this reflects this, you know, kind of worker, and I hope that, you know, others who don't understand these work experiences can still see themselves in it in some type of way. But what held me to it is I wrote a book called Authentic. When you write a book with the title Authentic, it is very difficult to lie.
Right.
And one of my metrics of success is that people who know me recognize me in the book.
Yes.
And so when my niece read the book and was like, this sounds like you, she could still recognize her aunt. Like, that's how I know, like, I was still myself in the process.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's really beautiful to like, I've danced with like just reading the pages, and I can hear you, but even hearing your voice in the audiobook, like we were briefly talking before, It's like, it sounds like a podcast. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is really what Jodi-Ann is like at dinner. Like, these are things that she would say in real life. And so I do think you held that metric of like showing up as your authentic self and like, and it's backed in facts and like reality. And there's a beautiful way of weaving those stories together. Yeah, and I do think it's just like, if you were trying to go apply for a job right now or like speaking engagements and things like that, it's a delicate dance. Because I think I was a little like, ooh, like at the part when, after 2020, we were making bread.
Oh, yeah.
I was in my bag in 2020.
Oh, I made more
From
money.
2020 to 2022, I was,
From 2020 to 2022.
it was lit.
Yeah, I made more money than I ever thought was possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a full-time yoga teacher.
Hello.
They were looking for me.
Yeah.
And
Isn't that sick?
that's why I'm saying
Yeah.
like it's a delicate dance.
Yeah, it was sick. It's
Because
sick.
because
Sorry.
also
No, keep going.
but also in that it was like a time period of playing the game. Like this is why we're hot right now, like let's go. And so I understood what I had to do in that time of like start the yoga school, like get my all black leaders of my teachers as faculty, or like start the process for the studio. Like I knew that I had a window to do it.
Exactly that. And it was
because
gonna close.
the window was going to close, and then we would be in a time like we are now. But I knew it was like, now is the time.
Yeah.
So reading that also was like, yeah, girl, but you ain't gotta tell them like we all were getting bread, but like
I know.
you ain't gotta name it.
I know, but I think it's important to name because one, how fickle the system is,
It
right?
is.
In this situation, someone lost their life. Multiple people lost their lives for that window to open. It is
100%.
incredibly costly to our communities for anyone to give a shit about us.
Right.
And so when that window is open, there's like, okay, here's the time. I can try to create change. I can try to make something happen. I can try to like build my business. And in some ways it can be opportunistic, but there are other ways where it's like, well, finally they're paying attention. So let's see what we can do. You're sending money. It does like, let's try to move this thing forward because the window's gonna close.
Right.
I do think the window stayed open longer than I had anticipated.
Same.
But when it was going to shut, it was going to come down hard because those cycles happen all the time.
Right.
You know, in the 90s, all these like sitcoms and stuff, and you've seen black people on TV all the time.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, this is it. We've solved racism in the industry. Like, it's going to continue. No. As soon as these networks made their money,
They made
they
replicas.
shut that shit down and made friends.
Yeah.
Like
They did.
they did. And then it just happened like a couple years ago. That's why I canceled all my streaming, including HBO. You had Insecure, you had Rap Shit, you had like all these like black and brown shows that were doing incredible things on HBO and all that stuff. As soon as they got their money up, they shut that. They took Legendary off. They didn't even exist. You can't even look at like some old episodes. They took Legendary off. As soon as they took Legendary off HBO, I canceled my subscription. I'm like, this is sick. And so it's like you kind of, these cycles happen all the time.
Right.
Right after Jim Crow in the era of Reconstruction, you had so many black people like in government, like really building communities, and then they wiped them out. Yeah. And so there is that kind of like, all right, I'm gonna get my bread, I'm gonna build my business. But you kind of, when your survival exists at the whims of an institution, of course, when the window was open, it's almost like, it's like kind of squirreling away. Like you gotta get what you can get. Like make your connections, build your communities, build your businesses, because like literally, like I'm still just living off of that money.
Right.
That's how I'm able to just like kind of take care of myself right now. And it's like, it's so sick. And I know a lot of black people specifically have really struggled. Like, you gonna tell me I got my come up because someone died? Like, I built my career off of the back of somebody's death. And there's like a way that it's not even on us. Right. Because there's this artificial sense of feast and famine when it comes to civil rights. Yeah. It's sick. But I had to tell the truth about that because I was in it too. Sorry.
No, I was just
You
like,
gotta tell
"Ooh."
comfortable truth. When you go Sunday, let's have a little.
You say it's Sunday?
Yeah, let's have a little church.
Does anybody have questions or things? Come on, Melissa is ready. Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had to go back to the corporate world today, how would
Sick.
you
Sorry.
move through that now with the book out
Yeah.
and then just living it
Yeah.
until you were working for yourself and then now?
I think there's two levels. One, how would I deal with that internally? Right? You could feel ashamed, right? Like, oh, you was big and bad. You was working for yourself.
You was
for
an
6 years
entrepreneur,
and,
yeah.
you was an entrepreneur. Now you with us. Now you in the cubicle with us. Or so this sense of like I failed because I had to do something different, or that I couldn't like make it out on my own. And so for the past couple of months, and even when I wrote the epilogue, I also, there's a little hedging in there, right? Where I say like, I would love to live the rest of my life like this, but I don't know if that could be the case. And so this is experimental.
Right.
Because I've always lived these past 6 years, and I hope that it can continue, knowing that if I did have to go back to somebody's job, I didn't want to say like, well, if I had more time, I could have done this. And it's like, well, for 6 years, you did have more time. What did you do? You was at the house. You was here at the gym, chilling. And those things are important, but I wanted to be very intentional with like how I was going to use my time. And so, I've talked a lot about Lit Lounge, the People's Art, the prose and poetry reading series that I created and I host. A big part of me wanting to do that is I have the time to do it. I have the resources to do it. It's a huge undertaking to plan these monthly events. And I wanted to do that because I didn't want to be in somebody's office being like, man, this job is the reason why I'm not doing this. And that would be a lie.
Right.
Because, I had the time and I didn't use it in service of my community and in service of my talents and the things that I believe in. So I think I'm like still working through that. Like what kind of job would I do? I don't know. And what kind of jobs would want me or would accept all of that this is, because I know a lot of authors who have professional lives that don't intersect with their author lives at all. No one even knows that they wrote a book. And oftentimes, especially for folks of color, Black women especially, is once they know that you have a book, it becomes more of a hostile work environment. So I know some people who either try to keep those separate, or if it gets out, a friend of mine she left her job because it just became too difficult.
Right under a pen name.
Yeah, right under a pen name. So people do those types of strategies. But I think for me, with the type of book that I wrote, I would want to pursue a job that understood all this stuff about me and were cool with it. They found it as an asset, if anything else.
For sure.
So in a lot of ways, maybe it doesn't make me unhireable, but it does make the path more narrow or more targeted, that I could say, that of finding the right position where I wouldn't have to hide all my opinions because they've been published, right? Like, you already know that I think you ain't shit. Like, I already wrote that, So I would hope that there's a level of, we want to see the Jodi-Ann that's in the book. We actually want that here.
Right,
So that's not going to be everybody. But I get to define what is the right fit for me. And for me right now, like, I really just want good health insurance. And it's really difficult to be an artist and to be an entrepreneur and to be able to get a mammogram.
It is.
And so, kind of what I was saying about you and the young person in your life is that even if I know that the place where I'm working is kind of bullshit, I know why I'm here. Like, I'm going to go see Dr. Torres this week, right? Like, we're going to have a time. Like, that's why I'm working here.
Right.
So, like, the bullshit that's happening around me is kind of like, I don't even care about that, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. Yeah.
I have another question. What's your opinion now on, I don't know her last name, I mean Bezos, Mackenzie. What's your opinion on giving up all this money to HBCU?
Yeah. Well, one, I wouldn't frame it as giving up.
Or not, I'm sorry, donating.
I would giving back, right? You cannot be a millionaire without stealing from people.
Come on.
Like, you can't be a billionaire without stealing from people. It's impossible. You're stealing.
Yeah, you talk about that in the book.
Yeah. Like, you gotta evade taxes, you gotta not pay people right, like you have to use the USPS system, the postal service, but like not pay them properly, like you gotta travel on roads, like you literally have to like use infrastructure but not pay for it because you don't get taxed, right? And then you have to underpay your staff and not give them good benefits. So it's like, when I think about Mackenzie Scott, you know, repatriating some of her money back to Black and brown people, you know, she doesn't get a pat on the back for that. Like the money belongs to us anyway. But what I do appreciate about kind of how she seems to move is like she's not out here trying to cut ribbons and shit. Like I really feel like she just gives her money and like goes about her business.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And and like for HBCUs, they don't. Well, I don't know. I'm just making assumptions here because I haven't looked at the data. But these are major gifts, and
100%.
so it's one thing to say like, oh, I have $100 million in my endowment, which I would imagine that a lot of HBCUs don't.
Right.
But then to receive $100 million at the same time, that demands a level of infrastructure that, you know, one they never needed to have, or maybe they didn't have the capacity to have.
Right.
And so I do think it's like a good fuck you to her ex-man.
Yeah. That's what I always.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that money.
Yeah, but the money belongs to me. You know what I'm saying? Like it belongs to us.
yeah.
So, you know, we appreciate her for ordering her steps.
I love that. Come on, church on a Sunday. Thank you, Lord, for ordering her steps. Amen. Anybody else?
She could give some to me too.
Hello. Soulful
Yeah,
Flow
hello.
would love this.
Mackenzie Scott, if you out there, sis.
Holler at us. We're in Seattle.
We're in Seattle.
It's so funny, is like, look, later you're gonna hear like my ad libs and like little snaps.
No, I love
that. She
Well,
gonna
the mic's up here. The mic's up here.
But so my question is, like, if you were to go back into, let's say, a DEI role, like,
Oh,
you
my
were
Lord.
redesigning the workplace culture from the ground up, and let's say they gave you like the power to really do it properly and not saying you're not, you know, trying to say like, why are you doing your job?
Yeah.
What values or structures would you put first?
Oh my God. First structure, first rule order of business. I would do radical pay transparency.
Oh.
And here's what I mean. I would do it in the way that Molly Moon does it. I got a lot of things to say about Molly Moon, but for the sake of this conversation, right? At least I'm working, it could be different. So I'm working on, maybe potentially old information. Maybe Molly Moon, the ice cream chain, local ice cream chain, maybe they still do this. But when Molly was pushing for pay transparency and created pay transparency within the Molly Moon chain, to my understanding from what I recall, is that there was like an internal document where every person with their name and their compensation package, like you could just look it up.
Wow.
So a lot of people like, and they talk about in the book that they define pay transparency as you go like apply for a job and they say, I could pay you between $150,000 and $300,000. I told you, so transparency, even though there's no requirement, first of all, if that band is too wide to be meaningful, and two, there is no actual requirement to even pay somebody within the stated band, right? You could pay them outside or whatever, it doesn't matter. But you can also define pay transparency in that I know what everybody makes. So I think to have something as simple as that could really get to like making sure that people who are exchanging their labor for wages are being paid fairly. And that if people feel a little spicy about the bands, then we can have open conversations about what does pay and compensation look like in this company. And the reason why I go there first is because we're talking about policy. Like, why am I at work if we're not here to be paid? Like, that's literally the foundation of our relationship. Right. And for so many of us, that baseline thing is so corrupted that literally just showing up as who you are, which is what they say they want us to do, means that I'm going to get 30, 40, 50 cents on the dollar for this job. And then the more information you know about me, if I'm trans, if I'm disabled, any type of way, that can reduce how much you pay me.
Right.
Through like, you're pregnant, so can't really put you up for promotion or can't really do this. So it's like these identity markers or, these attributes of who we are, it compromises the thing that we came here for, which is to be paid, right? To support ourselves and our families and our loved ones and to build a life. That is why we're here. And so I think if we get that correct, then I think a lot of other issues that we're having within the workplace can fall in line. Not that that will solve anything, but that can put us in the right relationship to have other conversations.
Right.
Right. Yeah. That's why they're not gonna hire me. I told you I was looking for a job, and then you got me on camera talking about
Pay transparency. Show me what they make, you know.
Yes, I want to know.
So, what gives you hope about the future of authenticity and belonging in the workplace?
So I come from the school of Ta-Nehisi Coates when it comes to hope, which in that he always says, he's like, I'm a writer. I'm a journalist. I'm not a journalist, but it's like, I'm a writer. If you want hope, you got to go talk to your priest, go talk to your pastor, right? Like, go talk to your spiritual advisors. Like, he very firmly has stated that it's not the job of artists to be hopeful or to give hope to other people, I would say, right? And so you don't go to art for hope. I think you go to art for truth. And so all of that to say, I wrote Authentic as a health intervention. I wrote it for Black and brown people to see themselves in it. Unfortunately, many people have been triggered by it in some ways where they don't even want to finish the book anymore. I get it. I didn't want to write the book. It was hurting me so much sometimes. But I would hope that people can see themselves separate from the institution in ways that they get to make decisions that put their bodies and their health and their survival before whatever, conscripted ideas of status and success. Because often our pursuit of what is successful to other people is the thing that compromises our lives, right? And so I would hope that people can read the book specifically in community with other people, and that it pulls them closer to what actually matters for our health and well-being and our success and our status is like being in good relationship and community with other people. That is my hope. So when I hear from folks that are like, it takes them a long time to read the book, because like a friend of mine, he was like, oh, I'm reading a couple pages, and then he has to call a friend. And he's reading a couple other pages, and then he got to call somebody else. He was reading the book at a bar, and like this Black woman was there, and she's like, is that any good? And he's like, let me tell you. So then he like stops reading the book to like be in that conversation. Like, it's those kind of spontaneous, unscripted interactions that we can have with other human beings that's not surveilled, right? I think that's the power of books and the danger of books to power, is that we can build relationships with people, and like that's what makes, people who makes the ops nervous. So I'm hopeful that we can get a little. I wanna also have some unruly employees. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm hopeful for. I'm trying to start
That's the
some shit
hope.
Yeah, that's the hope. Like I want this one, like with all the Starbucks strikes. I want to be like, this is like, no
This is what
contract,
y'all
no
need.
coffee. Like no legit, like no contract, no coffee. And when I see, these baristas and Starbucks workers striking and demanding basic shit. I mean, Starbucks is headquartered here, so we should all know what's going on with Starbucks. And it's like when I see them on the street, like, no contract, no coffee, I'm like, yo, they're doing that together.
Right.
You could work with somebody in the office for 5 years and you don't trust them enough to do that.
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Any other?
That's my hope.
That's your hope?
Yeah. Start some shit.
Stir it up. Go to yoga for the hope.
Oh, no, for real. You got to come here for the hope.
Go to your pastor.
No, truly. 'Cause when I was writing the book, like, I would come to yoga, and I'm like, okay, this is what it's for. I mean, I would come to the Soulful Flow and just, like, see all these Black people breathing. You know, that even helped me push through the book. Like, this is why we do the work that we do.
Right.
For the health and safety of our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and I often say that to my students in trainings and classes, you know, like, everybody has different roles in the revolution.
Yeah.
And in different seasons of your life, the roles can look certain ways. And so there were seasons of life where I was outside, like Gen 6, like I was in Louisiana, I was at high school. Like, you know, there were seasons of life where I showed up in different ways. And like my current role in this space of where we are in the world is to hold space for hope and like calming of the nervous system of people who like are still navigating this and have to pause from the book and like, you know what, I need a moment. I need to breathe. This is happening in my daily lives, in my workplace, that I need the health insurance. Like, I just had a baby. Like, it's not that easy for me to like peace out and go like, you got 30 people in a yoga studio. Each and every one of them are going through something very unique that you don't know. And so what is like space holding for that, and the acknowledgement that like multiple things can coexist. Like we can rest and also we need to be fucking some shit up.
And it's not always like, oh, I like my job or I have to quit. There's so many in between.
Sure, and boundaries of what that could potentially
setting your
look.
own boundaries. You know, I talked to someone that I wasn't able to include any of their quotes in the book for reasons that I talk about in there. But when I was talking to her, she was just like, you know, I am bringing my whole self. I told myself that when I come to work, I'm going to give you 20% of who I am. And I gave you 20%. I gave you the whole of that 20%.
Right.
You know, and so there are different ways that we can approach our mindset around work, our mindset around status. You know, one thing I appreciate about my sister that I think maybe in my younger years had a lot of questions around is she's so brilliant. And she could have been like a school principal or something, or like superintendent. And she's like, so I like going to work and I like coming home. And so she decided like, yeah, she's going to be a coordinator and like she's going to stay at that coordinator position. She's probably the most powerful person in the school.
Okay.
But she has no interest in having an administrative role.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I don't want the stress. I don't want to be dealing with these people, you know? And I think that we're taught that means that there's something wrong.
Right.
Like, why don't you want more? But sometimes having those bigger roles requires you to spend less time with the people that you love, be more stressed out, which means like you need more time off. But because you have such a high level, you can't take the time off. And so to watch my sister define success for herself in that way, that seems irrational within like capitalism and irrational within the way that we're supposed to design our careers, was a huge model for me. It's like I get to decide what a good life is.
Right.
You know, maybe I don't want to be in the C-suite because everyone I've ever met who worked in the C-suite was an asshole. It's like, I want to hang out with them. You know, so yeah.
Anybody else?
You got it. I can't hear you, boo-boo.
I'm curious how you took care of yourself.
Yeah.
So you touched on
Yeah. How did Jodi-Ann take care of herself in writing the book? So I wrote this book over 3 years. I took care of myself I took a lot of writing workshops during that time. One, because I wanted to be around other writers. Working for yourself as a solopreneur, right, which is a little bit different than what Jasmine's doing, because Jasmine's work requires her to be in community with other people, right? You can't run a yoga studio and you're the only person in here doing yoga.
Right.
Did I say yoga studio?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. In my mind, I said running, and I'm like, I don't know why.
Oh, girl.
But it's like,
I'm not ready yet.
I know.
Don't put it back in my.
But it's like
I'm
when you do the work that I do, it's really just me at the house with my dog, writing. And so I took care of myself by finding ways to be in community with other people who cared about writing. So I would take writing workshops. I would try to co-write with people. There was not a single chapter of this book, I think except for the epilogue, that I wrote by myself. So like I'll be writing and I gotta call somebody, or gotta write and I gotta call somebody. And so there's some scenes in the book where I'm like, I called Morgan. I know I did that, right? Because I'm like writing and I'm like feeling stuck or I'm unsure, and then I call somebody and like talk my argument out with them. My friend Franz, who's quoted in the book approximately 1,000 times, he would, he doesn't work there anymore, but at his previous job, he probably would still do it. But he would block off time in his calendar. He's like an important person. Would block off time in his work calendar to be like, all right, let's talk in the middle of his day, because he like has a wife, he has a daughter. And so that's where he could make time for me to like work through some of the arguments and conversations. And so a lot of these calls were sometimes, most of the times, not fun. I'm crying, I'm frustrated, I'm beating myself up, I'm saying all types of like negative things about myself. Like I was so mean to myself, like in the process of writing this book, of feeling like I just like couldn't do it. That my desires or my vision for my life was beyond my actual talent and discipline in order to make those dreams come true. And like I to keep myself from going crazy, I had to remind myself that there are people who love me, there are people that are rooting for me, and even though, yes, at the end of the day I have to do this by myself, I don't have to do it alone. And being someone who like is not very good about asking for help, it took me a while to admit to myself that talking to other people is part of my process. And I had to create those systems for myself. So yeah. Why are you laughing?
Because
I'm trying to be emotional.
I appreciate it. Because I never see you like that, and I like it, and I'm proud of you.
I hate this.
And it's real. It's real. And like, you know, we've had those moments where we've had to pep talk each other in like these big transitional seasons of like, oh no, you are a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
You are, this is what this top tier yoga teacher, this is how she shows up. And like the support system of, like you said, like being surrounded around brilliant people, and like iron sharpens irons. And so like having those people that you can call or that you can spend time with, like those little moments are very important to like, you know what, one thing at a time, I can do this. I got this. And baby, we wrote a book.
We wrote a book. We did.
You did it.
We did. My Lord.
And I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you, Bull.